All right. So, if I've done my job correctly, how do I unlock the room again? We are going to room is unlocked. Copy. All right. YouTube. Here. My videos. Live. Copy the link. right. OBS is up. Cool. I think I did everything good. Cool. Boom. Boom. That goes down to there. Check, check, check. Audio mic check. Yep. All right. Okay. Video details. All right, that's set up. Riding rates, restrictions none. Save. Close. All right, so I should be able to stick that right there. I can see what OBS is seeing. Hey, what you doing?
Oh, hi. We just got home from working all day. I was making some dinner.
Oh, crap. Are you like...
stuff on the table without the dog, thinking that every single thing's for him.
crap. All right. Would you mind just clicking on the Capital Region Riders Facebook page quick? And then the last post I just made has a rooms thing. Just a heads up, the face cam starts up when you click on it, so point at the ceiling if you don't want that to come up right away. I just need to make sure this all works, and I just need someone to test it. So you click that, face cam comes up.
Facebook?
Yep, Facebook
What's
and the
that?
Capital Region Riders group. And then there's the join rooms, or if not, there's a little rooms tab thing. Click that, and then you'll see it says 3K, City of Albany, Impound, charge, or something like that. Click that, and like I said, face cam will start, so you can point at the ceiling if you don't want that. And then I just want to make sure I can talk to you and whatever and see it. Everything works, because I self-taught my stuff that's like weeks worth of teaching in about 2 hours, so I'm hoping it all works. So before I look like an idiot at 8, yeah.
Okay. I would do that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind either your or Chris's opinions on some of it too, you know, because like I said, it's starting at 8, so if you guys want to eat and just watch what I'm looking at and what I'm going through, all the more opinions the better.
Then can we click back on it after we eat?
Yeah, it's just the official discussion supposedly starting at 8. I don't know if anyone's going to join any of this, but all right. But just click on it now so I know it works, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right. So OBS. Boom. I'm gonna try settings.
Hey. So, you see the screen coming up and I'm moving the thing around. It does like a weird telescopy thing, right? Alright, cool. Let me snap this over to the side. And so this is currently all live, just as a heads up tonight. So you're seeing the, can you read that as is, or should I make it bigger, you think? Like that? Well, it's just a video, so it's not much I can do about that. How about that? There you go. Yeah. But you can read this section. Whoa, busy. Can you read this section? And the next lines, the normal lines, because I'm going to be going through all these normal lines. Can you see it? Well, I mean like the regular text. All the stuff I'm highlighting right there. You can read that part. all the other stuff that I'm highlighting, the normal text, the non-bolded text. If you can read it. You can't click on it, it's a video. I'm just trying to see if I can. I'm just trying to see if I can make it any bigger. Oh, let's see. So I'm gonna try going through this with, everyone else. Oh, yeah, please. Alright, that's it. It's very loud. All the banging you're doing. Yeah, you're banging the phone. We're good. Thank you. Yes. My inside voice. Alright, thank you. Bye. 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 Make sure you hang up, please. Make sure you hang up from that now. Hit the little red hang up button. Hit the little red hang up button, like you're ending the call. It says leave room. Oh boy. Alright, well. Oof. Hopefully this screen goes home. Oh, my mom figured out how to do the live stream, so we're getting to the rooms in Facebook, so boy, if you can get in, anyone can do it. Oh, gotta love them. Gotta love them. Alright, so comments on the Monday. SaurPower, an alternate vehicle in the concept for vehicles manufactured for sale offers only qualifiers qualified contractors. Incidentally, operating on such vehicles can exceed 70 inches in width or 1,000 pounds dry weight. School skis are running, supported in or in part by their skis belts with cleats which utilize this belt club. Notwithstanding provisions paragraph K of this subversion, can help in vehicles shall not be limited to use for agricultural purposes or for snowplowing other than for hire, provided, however, that any such vehicles are registered as an alternate vehicle with ATV. All-terrain vehicle or ATV pursuant to the provisions of this article. Such vehicle is used or is intended to be used for any purpose other than agricultural purposes or for snowplowing and shall be regulated in accordance with the provisions governing the operation of all-terrain vehicles or ATV while in such use. Huh. Really? Let's search this one. -A. Off-road. And a motorcycle. So, let's see. Definition. Off-way highway motorcycle. Off-highway motorcycle is a motorcycle which is not equipped in conformity with the provisions of Section 381 of this chapter. Would not, if appropriately equipped, qualify. Let's see. Off-highway motorcycle is a motorcycle which is not equipped in conformity with the provisions of Section 381 of this chapter. Would not, if properly equipped, qualify as a limited use motorcycle, and which is manufactured and sold for operation primarily on off-highway trails or in off-highway competitions and only incidentally operated on public highways. Alright. So what does that mean? What's that telling us? To me, let's see.
Let's see what happens there. Alright, that's better. Settings. Sorry to everyone that I've just been blowing air into their ears the whole time. Audio. Oh well. Alright. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Alright, I'm gonna assume that's good. We're working on it. We're working on it. First time for everything. Okay. Messenger rooms. Still no one popped in. This might be a bust, but let's see what we get here. 25A. So guys, from the way I'm reading this, off-way highway motorcycle is a motorcycle which is not equipped in conformity with the provisions of the Section 381 of this chapter. I'm going to assume that's defining what a motorcycle is. Would not, if properly equipped, qualify as a limited use motorcycle, and which is manufactured and sold for operation primarily on off-highway trails or in off-highway competitions and only incidentally operate on public highways. So, two-stroke guys, if it's new, I think you're shit out of luck. As I'm imagining they're defining a motorcycle, I don't think getting a new two-stroke is going to be possible. I could be wrong. But, you know, those relatively newer Honda 230s, just about any other dirt bike you can convert over, I think, boy, you'd be nearly having to hire a lawyer to really cut the skin off that cat. But I think you could justifiably say, or hang some lights on it. You know what? Hang lights on it. There you go. Now it's just a normal motorcycle. $3,000 will get you a hell of a lot of lights. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're looking at this one. All-terrain vehicle, or ATV. Any self-propelled vehicle which is manufactured for sale or operation primarily on off-highway trails. Off-highway can only incidentally operate on public highways, provided that such vehicle does not exceed 70 inches in width or being the operative, 1,000 pounds in dry weight. Provided, however, this definition shall not include so if you're skinnier than 70 inches, if you're skinnier than 70 inches or heavier than 1,000 pounds, boy, let's see. We'll search heaviest quad. Let's see. Plus or minus 700 pounds. Yeah. So, yeah, you're not going to be over 1,000 pounds. I didn't think so, but worth a shot. Notwithstanding, the provisions of paragraph A of this subdivision, the term all-terrain vehicle or ATV shall not include any vehicle used for agricultural purposes or for snow plowing. You know, that's something to think of too. You're out there. Yeah, that's used for other than for hire. Notwithstanding the provisions of paragraph A of this subdivision, the term all-terrain vehicle or ATV shall not include any vehicle used for agricultural purposes or for snow plowing other than for hire, provided, however, that any such vehicle shall register as an all-terrain vehicle or ATV pursuant to the provisions of this article if such vehicle is used or is intended to be used for any purpose other than agricultural snow plowing, and shall be regulated in accordance with the all-terrain vehicles ATV while in such use. So obviously it doesn't apply in the summer. You're shit out of luck there. If you got a quad, you're shit out of luck. But that's a thin line to skate. So if you're out there plowing and you just want to rip around a little bit, and I don't even know if you technically, purpose of vehicle used for agricultural purposes other than for hire. Maybe you have to be getting paid. No, I think this means personal use, because if you're getting paid to use it, then that's a different category. All right, so if you're plowing your driveway, private property, City of Albany, and you just decide to take a quick rip up the block, or maybe you're just transporting. Yeah, the argument can be made you have a snowplow, but boy, those are tight clauses. So no skating around that. I think it is what it is. Oh no. Ooh, loud noises. All right. Volume down. Hola. What up? So, can you see my little screen thing here with all the texty, wordy goodness? Is is it relatively readable? That's the only thing Zoom wise. I wasn't sure if I needed to like zoom in or not. Let me see if I can. Oh, hold on, breaking things. Let's see. Let's see. All right, let's see if I can make this bigger. Oh, that's a little too much. Okay. We're gonna go text. Okay. There. And oh, nope. Select font. I'm still setting up the remainder of the OBS stuff. I just basically self-taught myself. Yeah, I guess that'd be the word. All this stuff in like a matter of a little bit. So. Select font. 26. Okay. And background. Okay. Same. Oh, there. Lock. All right. Do, do, do. All right. So you should be able to see the text on the top. I hope. Maybe. And all right. Is there text on the top now? Is there text on the top now? Is there text on the top now that says simulcast to YouTube? Oh. Oh, wait, I have to make it visible. I'm learning new things today. There. This could go all terribly wrong. I'm just giving it my best shot today. It's at least a spot for everyone to talk it over if they decide to come in. But, oh boy, here comes mom. Yep. Yeah, it's Liz. You met her at the track. She's Shark Pants. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I know, and that's that's a bigger battle to be fought at some point because I'm fighting, and I'm going to start covering it here shortly because I don't know how many people are actually going to get there joining. Motorcycle people are slackers, so I'm going to assume 10 minutes. But the I'm not trying to fight the battle saying quads and dirt bikes can be ridden on the road today or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, for sure, for sure. But um, yeah. But what I'm addressing today is this law specifically for the city of Albany. This isn't a New York State law. This is a city of Albany law. They're looking to hit someone when they're caught. Now, originally everyone goes, oh hey, it's dirt bikes and quads. You know, we're getting these pesky guys off the road. We're gonna impound it, $3,000. Eat a fat one, pretty much. The problem is, again, that's not what this is to address today. My problem is by the letter of the law, is the fact that when you're on your private property, you are suspected to not have permission to ride there, whether it's your property, someone any private property in the city of Albany within the bounds. You're assumed to not have permission. You're assumed to not have permission to ride there, which to me tells me they're allowed to begin an interaction, which could be a matter of walking up and saying, "Hey, I don't feel safe. You know, I got to pat you down first," which, again, should you have things in your pockets that maybe you shouldn't? No, but it allows them to, start an interaction that way. So fine, they find stuff in your pockets, whatever, and then they're now coming up to you and saying, "Prove you own the bike." Well, one, prove you have permission to be here. So if you, I don't know if a phone call is considered permission or not if the person's not standing there, but okay. So so they could just impound it based on that. But the second part is prove you own the bike. Now, we're all smart enough to know that most people don't register and insure their ATVs and dirt bikes if they're not on their private property. It's just a fact of life. Specifically because of what you were mentioning. There's no point. Why? It's not benefiting anyone, right? So what happens? It's in Joe. Go ahead. All right, fair enough. Yep, yep. Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, so the problem, yeah, right. So what this essentially allows them to do is say, oh hey, there's an ATV or dirt bike in the distance. Go and start the interaction. Prove you own it. You don't prove you own it, you get a stack of tickets, right? So normally you would have never gotten those tickets because they're not allowed to come onto your property to start an interaction just because they're assuming guilty, guilty before proven innocent, and that's a big problem to me, which can lead to the impound, $3,000 impound, all this stuff, simply because of the way they're writing this law. Um, that Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That become this law becomes right. Second part of this is yeah, correct. Right. Unless this law goes through. Now, of course, everyone can say, "Oh, you could take it to whatever, up the New York court system." Okay, well, with just this law, someone has to hire lawyers. I mean, I'm a relatively bright guy, but I wouldn't try tackling this law after it gets put into effect with legal lawyers, because it's going to cost more than $3,000, right? To talk to a lawyer is going to cost that much. But the second half of this is operate. What they're defining as operate in here, to ride on, in or on, other than as a passenger, so the passenger doesn't get busted, hilarious enough, or in or use or control the operation of any off-road vehicle in any manner, whether or not said off-road vehicle is underway. That means if you're sitting on an ATV or dirt bike, I don't even think it means it has to be running, by the way this sounds. Literally, if it's sitting in your driveway and you're leaning against it, they can come interact with you. You don't even have to be riding it. Yeah, or at least they can begin an interaction with you just there. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yep. And these are the problems I have. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem for me. Um mhm. Because they're going to say, "Oh, Albany's had a bunch of success. They have a whole pile of ATVs and dirt bikes in their yard that they're selling off for crush." And like you said, it's going to be an example. But meanwhile, rights are getting stepped on. And this isn't even like riding rights at this point. This is just straight up property rights issues, I think. Yeah. So there's more of the crowd too. It's honestly a lot of the biker guys are like, "I don't care, I ride legal." I say, "Okay, do you ride a Grom?" Because I get asked all the time when I'm riding that little bike that I've got. They're like, "Oh, is that thing even legal?" And even the cops asked me that when they pulled me over before. So they could even think one of those is an off-road vehicle and start an interaction. Or how about my dual sport, which has knobbies? Oh, is that a dirt bike? Yeah, yeah. And who has proof they own a mini bike? I mean, you buy the things from Harbor Freight for a couple $100, and all of a sudden your kids dealing with the cops. Like what? Come on. No, I didn't even think of go karts too. Yeah, that would qualify. Right. Yeah, because I looked up the referenced definition of ATV. So yeah, any self-propelled vehicle which is manufactured for sale for operation primarily. So yeah, that's off highway, operated public highways such the vehicle does not exceed 70 inches in width or 1,000 pounds in weight. So yeah, that's any go kart, and that's even most side by sides probably. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, my worry is for all the supermotos, the Groms, all actual legal things, and they could say, well, the law will end up not doing it. It's like, yeah, but you're starting an interaction that didn't need to happen. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So the problem, well, not the problem, but the concern is, so this has already been voted on, and it passed 14-0. Now the only reason that it's not actually a law right, yeah, the only reason it's not a law right now is because they're going to have public comment on April 14th via, I believe it's Zoom, and right after that public comment section is over, uh, what I can't remember her name. Is it Sheehan? I don't remember. Whoever the city of Albany lady is signs it. So it basically is a law at this point. They just can't act on it until the 14th, and it's doing it at 9 a.m. Super convenient for everyone to join in, right? So I don't even know. I basically have to convince one person who's basing her reelection and stuff on solving this problem, which I explained today to other people. As much as I don't necessarily, well, you know what I do. I'm not necessarily the straightest edge following the laws, and I stunt ride and stuff too. But as much as I agree that illegal ATVs and dirt bikes necessarily shouldn't be on the road, they used to be in hidden spots, dead end roads, whatever. The cops booted them out of all those spots. That's why for the last 2 years, so many more people are on the road with them. I'm not justifying it. I'm not necessarily agreeing with it, but that is why. So they're burning people for their own problems. Yeah, yeah. They're well, it falls back even right on the city. The city of Albany kicked people out of spots that were hidden in the city of Albany. Um, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, but yep, yep. And and the yeah, what I have been saying to everyone that I've been sharing this with is, look, that as much as I agree with that, that can't be the argument for this public talking point. And it sucks because you're like, you screwed us, like that's the first thing you want to join. But it's a Zoom call, and that's what they have to remember. They don't have to physically remove you with a cop. They just hit an X on your face, and they're like, all right, that's cool. Shut up. Bye. Yeah. And so I also, as much as I want to share it, I also want to deeply extend the explanation that you cannot go off on these people and make it look bad. The public does not already want you there. So if you are not making a rights type argument, especially in this type of whatever you want to call it, political environment, you are not going to get heard and you're going to get shut down. And I mean, not for nothing, but a lot of the illegal riders are the same ones that are protesting for other reasons right now too, and that there is a little bit of justification for that too. bad interactions with cops and such. Mhm. Yeah. Yep. All right. So I kind of just want thoughts on So I kind of want thoughts on what I'm writing up because I shared this on the Google Drive link. I think you've seen it, Liz. Chris, I'll share it to Mom and explain to her how to do it. So what yeah. So it's a little bit, you know, yeah. I mean, and look, I'm going to get some flack for it because I'm not even necessarily trying to take this entire rule off the books. And there's going to be a lot of people that I ride with and friends with that are not going to like that. But at the end of the day, they're going to make this law. All I'm looking to do is trim it down as much as possible to give you some leadway and protect people that shouldn't be getting hit with it. So I guess the goal, yeah. So the goal here is to kind of just review what I'm commenting on this so that I can then rearrange it into something a little more something that can be emailed out because there's the email out part and then there's a public comment. Like I said, I can't control what everyone else does when they join the Zoom meeting, but I'd like to look intelligent coming at this as as quickly as possible. So I broke down, I broke down the definition of ATV and dirt bike. There doesn't look like there's a lot of leadway there unless you want to hang some lights on it and then call it a de facto motorcycle that's not registered, which would, boy, it's really close. But I think if you hung the lights and made it close enough that it has the potential to become a motorcycle, I think you could skirt the $3,000 charge and only get a basically a riding a unregistered motorcycle type thing because the way they define ATVs and dirt bikes is very reliant on it not being able to potentially become a motorcycle. So I'm not sharing that part in the city, but this is to share back to the people. Like, hey, hang a set of lights or whatever. It's potentially a motorcycle. It's not a dirt bike anymore. But that's a fun little loophole that I thought was funny. But so operating. Oh, go ahead, Liz. Oh, were you saying something, Liz? Yeah. Yeah. So again, there's not much I can do with what's written here about that part. But what I do want to deal with is like the definition of operate. So I know there's a legal definition of operate to ride on or in other than as a passenger or use, and I'm going to kind of scroll highlight because you may not be able to read it very easily. To ride in or on other than as a passenger or use or control the operation of any off-road vehicle in any manner. I get that part, but then it's got whether or not said off-road vehicle is underway. That part I think should be removed because that literally means you're pushing it, whatever, you know. And I know why they want it on there because if the kid gets chased, he pulls down an alley, turns it off, and starts pushing, they just go, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't riding." I get the intention of it, but the law is written and can be pushed all the way to the limit, you know. So I want to contest that, and I don't quite know how to go about it. So I'd like everyone and you guys to noodle that around a little bit on how we can. I mean, you could say straight up remove it, but you know, the reasoning for offering up why, how to concisely put that. So that would be my first issue of contention is, look, you can't bust me if I'm not riding it, you know? Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I'd even go so far as it doesn't need to be running, but basically, if you've pretty much you've been operating, aka you've been riding around, either with the intent to leave or you've just quote unquote come back for a ride, or like if you were seen on the road, basically if you get spotted riding it, that's the first definition I'd call operate. If you're never spotted operating it, say you were driving down the road and then you push it into your garage or into your driveway, like if a cop didn't spot you riding it, they can't say you were riding it per se. I think I, I could be wrong, but I get what you're saying with the DWI thing, and that got brought up today when I was talking to someone else because that is a thing. A what? Nope. And I don't think they would intend to because there are actually a lot of people riding tiny stuff that are doing this too. Believe it or not, even full grown adults. Anything that moves that's yeah that fits the two definitions, correct. Um, so that's kind of how I addressed it in the document here. I basically broke down in motion, underway, because it's a little bit of funny terminology, just so that people understand what it is, and then I noted why it's bad wording. So I do want to work on eliminating that last part, or changing it, or offering suggestions to the alternatives. The property thing. Going back to what you were talking about a little bit, Chris, I don't believe there are any public owned lands or trails currently in the city of Albany. But this essentially shuts down so that even if there was a trail system to be made tomorrow that cut through Albany, you wouldn't be able to ride on them with a dirt bike or quad because it says public property. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle on a public highway or any public property in the city of Albany. Any. So that means if they made a cross through trail, anything, no riding on it. That's that shuts down any future trail. So say we say, oh hey, city, you know, whatever. Someone offers a grant. Let's call it a miracle today. So someone offers a grant for 2 million to build a little ride park. So this is no thing. Well, you can't ride on any, you can't ride on any public property. This literally shoots that right in the face. So I know what they're getting at again, but they're shutting down any potential for riding in the city of Albany that's owned by the city in the future. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Mhm. Mhm. But I'm just saying this. Yep. Yeah. But like I said, I'm looking to just for this part. So what I see is this eliminates any potential for any future riding or projects. Now I know their arguments instantly going to come back saying, "Hey, we'll change the law later." But look, I'm not looking to change. I'm looking to make laws to be the most minimum to cover the most specific thing possible and no more. Right? That's what we always want to do when we're making laws. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm just trying to keep it as quick as possible because I know Lizzie keeps dealing with dogs all day, and I'm sure she's about ready to pass out. So I want to make sure I get through it all. All right, so private property. This is our main concern. This section here, it's the 357.2B, private property. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle. Uh, English. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle off a public highway on private property in the city of Albany unless such person has first obtained the express consent of the owner or occupant of such property to operate the off-road vehicle on the property. So, okay, you ask your buddy, hey, can I take my dirt bike over to your house and ride? Sure. Well, if the cop comes along and he's not available, I don't know if a phone call is considered enough consent to be like, yeah, that's good, because the cop goes, how do I know you didn't just call some random guy and have him answer and say this, right? I I don't think a phone call alone. And again, most of the cops in the city of Albany are cool, so I'm not shitting on them saying they're all going to use this to the last letter, but they can. They have the ability, and that's the problem. So yeah. So and then the second part is the scary part, the one in red. There shall be a rebuttable presumption. Now I'm going to stop and define that where I defined it. A particular rule of law that may be inferred from the existence of a given set of facts that this is conclusive absent contrary evidence. So basically they're saying it's true until you say it's not. So there shall be we will believe it's true until you prove it's not that the operator of an off-road vehicle on private property in the city of Albany lacks consent to operate the off-road vehicle on private property, which is what I explained earlier. They literally walk up to you saying, you don't have permission. Prove to me that you do. And because the law is saying you can't ride, because of the higher up part saying you can't ride on private property without having permission, and they automatically are told, the cops are informed to assume that there isn't permission. That means anytime you see a bike with someone doing their definition of operate, they have to go interact. They're obligated to go interact. Not just that they can choose to, they're obligated to by this law to interact with you. Yeah. Yeah. And that's by drive by. Or if someone calls, they just say, I saw a dirt bike. The cop has to show up to that address and presume you're wrong. That's all the person has to say. They don't have to say you were doing a wheelie, making noise. They just say, I saw a dirt bike. Which could be a dual sport, it could be a Grom. It cannot be the things that they think it is. That's the same thing as someone calling up and say, yeah, I saw a guy walking around waving a gun around, and it's a kid with a Nerf gun. You're like, nah, man, you can't show up guns drawn because a kid's walking around with a Nerf gun. Nerf guns are legal. Don't assume that he's killing everyone in the hotel or whatever just because someone saw a Nerf gun. So that is my worst, I'd say. I mean that's bad. Yeah, but this is going one step further and just saying if they see a hunter, yeah, this is saying if they see a hunter, they're assuming you're trespassing no matter where you are. So if you cover public property is off limits entirely, and private property assumed you're wrong, that's telling me anywhere you are with a bike or ATV, you're wrong. That's that's bad news to me. So I would say straight up delete that part. I'm not even against. There's already laws, and I have to find them. So I think what I correct me if I'm wrong and maybe doing it this way, but find the normal permission stuff that references in ATVs and dirt bikes saying, hey, if you're off your property, you have to have license registration, all that license registration stuff, because that already covers it, in my opinion. If you're already off your property, and then there's consents about being in property, and I'll reference that too, basically saying, hey, you're not allowed to be on anyone's property unless, they give you permission to be, right? Just the normal, if someone walked into my house type stuff. That both of those situations are covered to me by existing New York State, federal, whatever laws. I have to find it. I don't know where it's going to sit. It's not going to sit in the city of Albany, right? Or reasonable suspicion of a crime being committed. Hmm. I'll have to double check, but you shouldn't have to put posted property signs just to prevent. Yeah, yeah. So I'm fighting the least common denominator, dum dum, because we also have to remember that remembering all these laws by a cop just when you're out and about every day is not going to happen, and they're going to screw it up anyways. So giving them weaponization to screw it up is bad news to me. Yeah. By the way, you only get 60 days to get your bike back, so good luck fighting that in 60 days in the court system now. That's right, and that's why they're limiting it. So, so that line there is my biggest out of anything. If I can get that pulled or changed or whatever, that's the one that I'm going to want some help on, maybe rewriting. So, Liz, for and this line should be changed. You should be presumed guilty, I think. So, Liz, if you're, I don't know how it appears on the phone, but on the computer, if you like highlight a section, I gave commenter access. So there's a little, you might not be able to see it, but there's a little like blue dinger that says add a comment. So I'm going to make some additional changes to this, but feel free to tag in some comments on how you think it should be written or changes I should make when it, just to help correct. So you can do it at your leisure when you get time or whatever. And then, there's going to be open to everyone else too. Yeah, yeah. And I'll reshare the drive and stuff on that top post. I'm going to make another clean top post once it's done linking to, all this. I believe it was I believe it was a few days ago they voted on it, Chris. I think it might have even been like the Monday of this week or something. Or not. I haven't fully checked it out. I remember seeing in the newspaper that they were like, "Hey, there's a real problem. We're going to write something up and get moving on it before summer starts." To the Times Union, it was just like a basic Time Union. It wasn't like, "Hey, by the way, there's public comment, blah blah blah." So as far as I understand it, and again, I got to do my research on it to ensure, but this was very quick because one of my buddies covers Albany news and stuff. He's a news radio guy, and he had talked about it with the police chief, like, oh, what's the deal with all these bikes and this and that. And the police chief was just like, yeah, I know they're looking to tackle it. And then a few days later, it was like, bang, here's the law. So I think it was shoved through. I could be wrong, but I believe it was shoved through. I don't think there was anywhere posted, or at least nowhere accessible to notice that they're like, by the way, we're writing a law, and here's how you comment on it. I think this is it. Like, by the way, the law is written and voted on. Public comment, and as she dips her ink in the pen to sign it, So that's as far as my understanding is at the moment. I could be wrong. So below this is just explaining my thoughts, pretty much how I ran through it here. And, I kind of explain for everyone else, not in this call, about, hey, they can start and, oh, I don't think it's safe, or a pat down, kind of just running through the potential problems with this. Finally is the impound and redemption. So when you're looking at the Google Doc in person, anything underlined is what they added. And this isn't it in its entirety. I also included in the Google Doc the actual full law. So there's a bunch of stuff that's crossed out and whatever. I only copied the pertinent stuff that I have problems with, or, have problems with that can be changed, I guess I should say. So the last bit is the impound. And so there was already the $650 or imprisonment not to exceed 15 days. That is what it is. I can't really contest it. It's been on the books forever. Someone else can fight that legal battle. Second part is pretty much if A or B up above, which is private property or public property, such impounded off-road vehicles should be stored by the police department, and they are going to send to the title owner, they'll send notice of the address on file, certified mail within 5 days of the impoundment. So, okay, they get up to 5 days before the letter goes out. The mail is kind of crappy recently. That gives you another, we'll call it 5 days to play it safe. We'll estimate worst case scenario. So you've burned up 10 days, and they're probably going to catch you midday or night, which means do the 5 days start then? I don't know. But we'll call it 10 days for safety's sake. So 10 days are gone. Neither police department impounding the vehicle, the city of Albany, or anyone shall be liable for any damages arising out of an erroneous name or address of such owner. So that means if we fuck up the paperwork, even if you did have it registered or whatever, our bad, sorry. Now, if they're looking to get these things off the streets, even if someone did want to get it back, what's the best way to do it? Oops, we screw up the address or the name. That seems a little, I get they don't want to be liable for accidents, but there's a difference between accidents and, being able to play a game. Yeah. That seems a little wide. I know that they can't write a book for every law, but that's, yikes. So, correct. And that part of what this is covering is that they're basically saying there's two parts. It's one, whoever it's naming it is getting the letter. So it might not be the person that got caught in it, which is understandable, right? They're not going to send it to the guy that got caught, because if it's stolen or you were just dumb enough to not register it, like, you're bad. We're sending the letter of impoundment because you're not the owner. If I drive Liz's car around and it gets impounded, they're not going to have me go to the impound lot to get it. They're going to have Liz to go get it, or she's going to have to sign some notarized stuff saying, hey, I'm allowing Steve to go get the car out of impound, which is what they cover down below. But the redemption fee is, yep. That would be existing state law, probably. But that would be existing state law. Yeah. Yeah, and that would probably be during the impound slash arrest process, but I don't know. But I think that's all covered by existing state law. The second part of this is what the remaining is to get it to $3,000. This $2,350 charge. Off-road vehicle impounded under this shall only be released to the owner or, power of attorney. Enforcement. The chief of police is charged with the enforcement of this chapter. So my questions are, is this like a normal language for this type of stuff? I haven't looked yet, but can he, push the operation clause to suspected operation, or can he ignore this entirely? Like, if someone talks to him and be like, hey, we're going to ride in this area today, can you not bust us? And he goes, yeah, sure. Can he just not enact it? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of weird, right? The language, it could go both ways to me. And then there's a second part, the common letter, explaining the law. It's kind of something they do. They basically, for the equivalent of sending an email with the laws and attachment, they kind of explain in plain English what they want to do. So it says, in the common letter part, it says, while the operation of dirt bikes and ATVs is already legal on public highways under New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, this law makes it explicitly unlawful on the public highways, in public parks, or on any private land in the city of Albany. It also expressly forbids the operation of these vehicles on private property without the express consent of the occupant of such property. And right here, I noted, I was like, that by definition is contradictory. If your intention is to eliminate it off of private land in the city of Albany and private land without the express consent, what you're really saying is, we don't want a single one of these in the city of Albany, which I get is the intention of this law. Let's not make any bones about it. That's the intention of this law. But that, you don't get to just do that, right? To me, that doesn't fall under illegal. I could be wrong. But that's what this says. I mean, they just came out and straight up said it to me. It's not allowed on public property. It's not allowed on private property. All right, you want to hook it to an helicopter? Like, what's your, like what? So my final question is, and this isn't necessarily to stop the law for going through, but nowhere in here, and I don't know if it defines it in other vehicle laws too. So this could be a non-issue in the sense of it's kind of covered somewhere else, but nowhere in there does it say what happens with this redemption fee. Any chance it could be fed, kind of like you were talking about earlier, any chance it could be fed back into a fund for a proper spot for riding, any chance it can go to even something like education about safety gear and helmets and stuff. Like this is $2,300 being tacked on to $650 already. Let's assume that it costs them $650 to do all the paperwork and stuff, which is, let's be honest, a steep freaking bill. Say that's what that original cost was, and it covers the cost. This isn't a for-profit government, guys. I get it's a penalty, but this $2,300, if you're looking to really smack people with ATVs and dirt bikes, then use that part of the money to educate about proper riding and this, at least have flyers, stuff like that. Put some of that money towards that stuff. Because right now, where does it go? It goes in the black hole of thanks, put it in my pocket, Mr. Cuomo, or whoever the mayor is. Yeah. Or even boosting, spend some of the money on a social media person or whatever to say, hey, there's local tracks around the area, Parker MX and, the Bro MX, all these other different places around the area. Like, sorry, you can't ride in the city of Albany, but then hype up the places where you can ride. $2,300, you can hire a social media person for a good chunk of time to do some work and advertise to all these ATVs and quads. Now, is it going to help anything? No, let's be honest. We're not delusional. But that's $2,300 per person. They snagged 5 or 6 people already in just the last week or so. If that was all $3,000 a pop, that's a pretty penny that's sitting in an account that nobody knows where it goes. I feel that should have some definitive direction on where that money goes, and the public should at least be aware of it, even if they agree that it should be taken. So that question isn't intended to end or hinder the law in any way, but I do think it should be addressed by someone staring into a camera after I ask the question at the end, saying, all right, let's say everyone agrees with this and you're not going to make a change. Where's the money go? Now, I know they're well practiced at not explaining that, but I do at least want that question to linger in people's minds. Like I said, my buddy Daryl, that he's actually, if he hasn't changed jobs, is very shortly changing jobs on the radio, has talked to the Albany police chief. And the Albany police chief, there's all sorts of varying opinions, but overall, he doesn't seem like a terrible guy. A lot of the cops that have interacted with us, for the most part, have not been bad. Most of the times when they are, it's because someone starts with them first. I'm not necessarily defending the cops here, but there's more good than bad for the ones I've interacted with or seen interactions with. There's a couple that tried running people over, so I'm not saying they're all good. Trust me. But he's talked with him, and the cop pretty much says, like, yeah, spring comes, everyone wants to get out and have fun, so they start riding. And since I don't think he necessarily understands because this was prior to him. He's relatively new. Um, as far as my understanding is, previous to him is the guy that booted everyone out of the more secluded areas that they were riding. So he's kind of absorbing the consequences of someone's previous actions. And what do you do? Because now they're on the street. Like I said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle necessarily because some are just going to stay on the streets forever. It is what it is. But I think if you allowed for some spots for it to be done, I think you could eliminate a good 80%. And Julio's saying this, all these different people are saying this too. They're like, yeah, if you give a spot, which is a good argument, not to stop this law, but it's a good argument. If you give someone a spot, most of this is going to go away because it was never a problem before. And it's not like there's all of a sudden a bunch more dirt bikes or quads than there ever has been. The same number out there. So, do the math, right? So, I mean, any thoughts on just the specific issues I intend to tackle? Like I said, there's many more issues to tackle, but I neither have the time, education, or money to tackle them quite yet. Oh yeah, this Google Doc stuff is open for comment to anyone. I shared to a couple other groups, so it's not just isolated Capital Region riders. Yeah, yeah, even just for interpreting, because I might be interpreting something wrong too. I could be totally wrong, but I did my best definitions, lookups on like legal dictionary stuff. So I hope I got it all right, so I don't look stupid. But I would appreciate it, sure. Yeah, my suspicion is what he's going to say is, look, it's very you can't just shoot down a law before it becomes a law, even if it's not constitutional. You have to let it become a law and then instantly whatever sue to say that it's illegal, which is really crappy. But my understanding is that's how most laws and unconstitutional and whatever else kind of laws work is they get put on the books and then they get shot in the face by legal proceedings, not hey, let's write a better law before we sign it into law. That's what I'm thinking too. And I'll tell you what, if anyone else joins in that's not part of the bike thing, most of them are going to be on there saying, "Oh, what the first thing everyone goes to? Oh, but what about the kids? There's going to be a kid that gets run over, and you know what? They have a legitimate concern too because a quad hit a school bus not too long ago, and I'm pretty pissed about that. I don't know who it was. I legitimately don't know who it was, so I can't say. But you know what? That's a straight scumbag move. No matter how good you think you are, if you're near a school bus, don't be stunning near a school bus. You know what I mean? I don't know what the situation is or whatever, but don't be a scumbag, So that set, I think that was one of the couple few things that helped set it off too, is someone hit a school bus. And there were reported minor injuries. I'm guessing the school bus got rocked back and forth or whatever. I'm sure it was exaggerated, but it doesn't matter. They hit a school bus. I get why everyone's fired up. And what about the kids works to push a whole lot of things that aren't great. But for the things that I'm looking to tackle, um, for the things I'm looking to tackle, I think that would satisfy the public's need for addressing it while protecting other riders. Yeah, and Chris, like, yeah, right, right. And and Chris, like I said, I'll send Mom the Google Drive link directly as well, so that at least you guys can look at it a little closer with your own eyes. Because I get it's hard to see in the, I'm kind of the one controlling it right now, so you can't read it top to bottom. But I get it's a little hard to read right now, but it'll be a little bit easier when you open it on a phone or something or on a computer. So yeah, yeah, of course. Mhm. Yeah, that would definitely be appreciated. Like I said, I understand if he's busy or whatever, but even if he can just glance through, like I said, the comments on one is probably not the best one for him to read through. Just the straight law, which I did include. There's one labeled Albany local law. I know it's very difficult to read, but there's one that's just there. But I also included in that comments on Liz. I did include right at the top. This is not the entire code here. Please see the entirety of its code. And I made a link so he can just click on that. He can just click on that, and that's a direct link to my copy of it. And I also included, uh, yeah, I took a copy of it, but I'll also include the link to the actual City of Albany's website version of it too. Just it's the same thing. I just downloaded theirs, but just so that in case they make some weird last minute changes to it or something. I mean, they already voted on it, so I don't think they can. But just to ensure that I'm not, grifting something into it or whatever else, so he knows he's reading the original copy. I'll include the link to that directly below it as well on that page. But yeah, any other thoughts on it of things I should tackle more, less, changes, just off the top of your head at the moment, or do you think we're heading in the right direction? I tried. I started at 8 p.m. last night and just blew it out in like a couple hours. So it is a little vomited on the page at the moment, but it's the best I could do in a couple hours. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, all right, cool. Well, thanks guys for joining. I'm probably gonna close down the thing here pretty soon. Doesn't look like anyone else is joining. Oh, hi there. Hi, hi. But all right, cool. Thanks a bunch, guys. Bye. The red button. Yep. All right. Uh, more. Oop. Oh no. Capital, Capital Region Riders. Join room. LBS. Stop. Oh, I get what you're talking about. Yeah. Uh, agreed, Mr. Sicko Man. I mean, people already do, right? But the biggest problem is it's going to affect regular riders too. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Sorry about that. I haven't been paying attention to live chat. It's my first time doing all this double streaming stuff, so I'm doing my best here. All right, so oof, it's a lot to work with here. I'm gonna also tag the original law. Just to be sure. So it is going to be local law E of Albany, Control V, City of Albany. City of Albany, local law E. I'm going to just take a copy of that. And this is the drive link. And we're going to have a second one here. This is going to be, let's see. City of Albany link. Just to make sure I'm not rewriting it for any of those that are skeptical. This is a full code. Full code. I'm gonna Control X. We are gonna turn that into a link. I'm gonna paste the link, apply. Code E-link, full code. Well, that didn't go terrible. The dual casting there. It was pretty interesting, I think. Passenger rooms. Call participants. Just me. Cancel. OBS. Ooh. Okay. Hey, what's up?
I got a good bone to pick with you. You can put it on there.
Oh, I'm still technically on the live stream, so if it's not
Oh, I'm
something you want
sorry.
recorded.
Call me back when you get off.
All right, I'm gonna probably leave it open for a while. So it's if you want to still be on there, there's no one else to join. But if you don't want the audio to be on there, it might not be the right moment.
No, I just wanted to throw something at you. You know.
Yeah.
Like the e-bikes.
Yep.
All right. Technically, any motorized vehicle.
Yep.
That's what it says in their laws. That goes down to one of the power wheels of the batteries that kids ride.
Let me pull it back over here, shrink it so I can read it.
Motorized vehicle because it's not propelled by your own feet.
Off-highway motorcycle is a motorcycle which is not equipped in conformity with the provisions of blah blah blah, which is defining a motorcycle. Would not, if properly equipped, qualify as a limited use motorcycle. So certain ones might qualify as a limited use motorcycle, but probably not, because that'd be like moped stuff, right?
Well, if you go under DMV for boats,
yep.
If you have a rowboat, you don't have to register it.
Right.
If you put a trolling motor on it, it's considered a motorized vehicle.
Right.
It doesn't matter what size little electric motor you put on it. As long as it is powered something besides you or wind power, you have to register it.
So for this intent, they don't even say that, like, hey, it's only dirt bikes that are, I guess I'll say registerable, for lack of a better term. It simply says if it's not, in long terms, a motorcycle, or if it won't qualify as limited use, so let's say a moped, and which is manufactured and sold for operation primarily on off-road trails or in off-road highway competitions. So that one's a little bit weird, but I get what they're saying, and only incidentally operate on public highways. So that could cover, like you say, all that stuff. They don't even say, like, you know, it has to be a registered thing, because some dirt bikes aren't, right? Some don't come with titles for frames and stuff, so that's going to get covered too. So
that's why I was going to, it's like the e-bikes and stuff like
that.
Those are not registered.
Yeah.
They are not self-propelled. They are battery propelled, and you can put a set of knobby off-road tires on one of those things.
Okay. I get what you're biting at now. Sorry, I was thinking of like Power Wheels level bikes, but I don't know if there's any other specific codes about them yet, because I know that's a problem in other cities. It's been a problem in other cities because they go so fast without indications and stuff that people don't know how to go that fast, right? If you basically haven't ridden a motorcycle, they're like, oh yeah, it's a bicycle. No, it's not. You can go 30, 35 on some of those things. Like, you can get in a motorcycle accident in a bike helmet.
Just underneath the registration.
Yeah.
All right. And you can buy a bicycle. You can buy a bicycle kit. You can buy the gas motor bicycle kit and put it on that bicycle, and still don't have to register.
The only thing is, I don't know, because they do break out, like an e-bike wouldn't, but the little motor kits that you then put on a bicycle might then fall under the rules for limited use motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So that may exclude them from being thwacked by this law. I don't think e-bikes have been written into the limited use motorcycle clauses yet, but if they haven't, you are correct. I think they would be able to, which is manufactured and sold for the operation primarily on off-highway trails. Yeah, I mean, that's what bike trails are, right? Off-highway trails.
Exactly.
So it's been rushed through too quick, and that's my first argument in general. Just in general, it's been rushed through too quick, but yeah.
I was just feeding you a little bit more information. I'm thinking all outside the box there.
Yeah, no, that is something that I'm going to tag in my document right now because I'm going to have to do some more research as to the who's and whys, and because they may have written something up for e-bikes recently. I don't know because New York State's website doesn't always qualify or covers things that the city will then denote more, but I don't think they have.
My grandson's got a 24-volt, one of those mini crop truckers.
Yep.
That little fucker makes screens.
Oh yeah, they do.
All right, and I can buy off-road tires for them.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I'm just feeling it all out to you so you can have the right information. I mean, if you're going to throw something on there as far as off-road, you can make anything off-road.
Yeah. But the e-bike thing especially, like I said, if there's not a specific exclusion to either put them in limited use motorcycle categories or as a motorcycle, then or as a bicycle, because I don't think they qualify them as bicycles because that would be insanity, then I guess the last option is to consider them a dirt, whatever the official term is, but we'll say dirt bike, off-highway motorcycle. I mean, yeah. I mean, that is what, to me, they would essentially fall under. I think you're right. Yeah, that's a problem. They're going to swat e-bikes.
If you're gonna write the law, write it and think about it.
Yeah, because what I also want to look into, because I seem to remember them talking about various e-bike companies. There's like companies that kind of have agreements with the cities. I don't know if they've put any in yet, but there's like little stations, and there's even these other things. They're like e-scooters. It looks just like a push scooter, but they have like a fatter bottom, and they have a little motor and batteries and stuff. I don't know. I don't think they would fall in the off-use motorcycles, but there's programs. I can't remember where I went. Oh, North Carolina. When I was in North Carolina, those things were all over the place, strewn all over parks. People just dump them wherever they're done riding. They don't set them up against a tree or nothing. They just dump them.
Yeah.
Which has been a problem. It's basically e-waste on the city streets, but they could maybe if there's no laws, they may be required to fall in that off-use motorcycle category because of that too. So, yeah. All right. I like it. No, I like it. I like it because that is like you said, it just pushes more to the, hey, you haven't really thought about what you're saying here. Like, we're not trying to argue for illegal dirt bikes and quads on the road necessarily, but you haven't thought about what this really absorbs, or strikes. Yeah. All right, I like it.
That's what I was getting at.
It's going to take a minute for me to put that brainulation into words, but I'm going to tackle that right now. Cool.
All right.
Thanks. Bye. E-bikes / e-bikes, etc. Have there been laws? All right, so have there been laws written about the e-bikes and things? That is a very good point being brought up. If there have not, e-bikes very well may fall into this too. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. So, if e-bikes go on that, has there been any laws written about them? Question mark. Do they fall under this definition of limited use motorcycles? Would this also essentially eliminate these by that interpretation. I think it might. He's got a point. I think it might. All right, well, going on for a good chunk of time here on the live stream. I don't know if anyone's in chat. Leave a comment here, but I think I'm probably going to... Ooh, what's this do? Markers appear in the video after the stream ends. Oh, no. Oh, I'm just pushing all the buttons now. So, e-bikes. Have there been any laws written about those? They fall under the definition of limited use motorcycles. I think they might at the moment. We'll have to check the laws in the city and state. This also essentially eliminates these by that interpretation. Yeah, I think that's a valid comment. So link to the entire code. Link to the City of Albany's version. Definitions of ATVs. All-terrain vehicles. Yep, we got all that. Incidental. Yep, ATV definition, dirt bike definition. So I gotta change that over to, it's not a definition of a dirt bike, it's a definition of off-highway motorcycle. We want to be sure when we're responding that we are responding with their own interpretations. So Control V, crap. So not dirt bikes. They are off-highway motorcycles. Cool. So I should put that tab under here. Does this cover e-bikes? Or do they fall into limited use motorcycles slash motorcycles? Yeah, are they considered limited use motorcycles? Cycles. Does this cover e-bikes? Comma. Do they fall into limited use motorcycles? Comma. Or is there a specific law redefining them that would either include or exclude them? So it's not a null set. What are they called when it's not included or excluded? It is a incomplete set of law coverage. They didn't note it, and as such, you have to assume that it's included in one of those two categories. All right, going back to operate. Ride in on other than as a passenger, or use or control the operation of off-road vehicle in any manner, whether or not said off-road vehicle is underway. We defined what underway is. I know it seems obvious, but boy, we got to be specific here when we're tackling something that's already approved. All right, bad wording. Comes off a bit strong in my response later, but for now, if you are sitting on it or have control of it in any fashion, this definition can get you snagged still, whether or not underway being the operative thing. So how do we want to, what can we do to fix this? Suggested alterations. Suggested alteration. Oof, my typing is atrocious today. All right, so how are we going to alter this definition of operate? Now, I know operate might be a legal definition in the city or state code, but as Liz mentioned earlier, and someone's mentioned earlier to me, this falls under like what DWIs get. If you're sitting in a car with the keys in the vehicle, you have control of that vehicle technically. So I understand that this one may not be able to be done away with. But I do think there should be additional language in there for this one. Because to me, if you're sitting on your bike in your driveway or someone else's driveway, just washing a bike, or hey, how about these detailer guys? Detailer guys has a set of keys. They have control of the bike. You know, they wash the bike off, dry it. Maybe they start it to load it on the trailer, whatever. Take a quick ride around to the back garage because they don't feel like pushing it. All of a sudden, you're operating a dirt bike on a private property, which has been covered. You're starting an interaction with the police. That concerns me. That's a problem. We're going to need a suggested alteration there. Alteration or additional clarification in the law if operate is a specific legal definition. I think operate's probably a specific legal definition. I'm sure they reference that for DWI cases and all sorts of other V&T laws. But you can't just leave it at that, for sure. Public property. Yeah, this one's bad. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle on a public highway or on any public property in the city of Albany. Are there any legal public riding areas? I don't know that there are. So I'm going to say this shuts down any potential for any future public-owned riding trails, parks, tracks. Oh shit, what about Times Union Center? Times Union Center. Oh, this is rich. So, ATVs and dirt bikes, right? I get you're not allowed to ride monster trucks up and down the road and they're getting special permits or whatever, but this doesn't have any language in there for special permitting to ignore these laws. So, logically, when motocross or anything else comes to the indoor arena, I don't know if Times Union is technically privately owned. I think that's a city venue. Let's look it up. Is the TU Center publicly owned? This would be great. Owner, Albany County. Albany County. Look at this. Owner, Albany County. Operator, SMG. I can't remember. Boy, I worked for them for one of the projects just down the road, but yeah. 15 more rows. What else you got? What else you got? College sports, high school sports. I don't even mention Sienna, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We're going to go back. Owner, Albany County. So Albany County is the owner of the TU Center. Restrictions, public property. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle on a public highway or on any public property in the city of Albany. Hey, if you don't speak up any more on that, guess what? No, this law, and they're not going to enforce it. Again, I get why they have what they have so that they can ignore the law. But if you write the law as a blanket, you don't want to crawl under that blanket. But you want to stay on top of it. It shuts down any potential for any future public-owned riding, trails, parks, tracks, and could be enforceable at the TU or any other publicly held event venue. No language in this law to address special event permitting. Yeah, look, you want to eliminate it, and you want to provide a special place to a place to ride by the city. Again, this law isn't this isn't going to be my big argument because they're going to shut you down. And I suggest that no one else that does this makes this argument. But if there's no language in there for permitting, then I would say that you might not be able to. Might be able to do it at all. Now, there might be separate permitting language that that maybe addresses this, but boy, by the way I see it, TU is publicly held. Sorry, not sorry. The audio stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend use volume. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully everyone can hear the audio still. Saying I have an excellent connection otherwise, so hopefully it's good. All right, so that's a problem for them. Can anyone pull a permit to then enable riding on public property? That'd be nice. Hey, write it in the law. You know what? Fine. We won't ride on the roads. No one will ride on the roads with the illegal stuff. But you damn well better provide a nice, squeaky, clean path for me to get a permit and host some riding events. Who's got big parking lots in city of Albany? What kind of big parking lot? How about parking garages? Can I pull a permit to ride on the top level of the parking garage in Albany? TU Center, what's up? Let's do it. Parking garage top party. Pull a special permit. Block the entrance and exit. Cameras in and out if we got to or something, if they're super stingy. Whatever. Let's start a big ride up every Friday night. Trailer in your shit. Park in the lower levels. Top two levels or top level is is riding time, stunt riding time. How about some other big parking areas? Montgomery Wardville is for sale. I don't know if that's still public property, but I'm down for riding there. They got a ton of big parking lots. Where else? Where else? It's the side streets, man. We could block. Hey, if you want to hit people with 3K, I think that's crap, but guess what? Open the floodgates to permits. I'll work on pulling those permits. Let's get some Capital Region riders sponsored riding. Who's down? Who's down? I'm fine with that. Throw a couple bucks in the kitty. I'll apply for the permits and do the legwork. We'll do stunt riding in public-private property lots. See what's up. I'm down. So, if TU would need permits, you know, and everyone goes, oh, that's a TU. It's an enclosed thing. No, that's private property. There's no laws covering that now, but now that there is, on the 14th, now that there is, that's telling me, yes, it's an event space, but there's no exclusion for event spaces. And with no exclusion for event spaces, that means you're going to need some kind of special whatever, some kind of permits. You're riding in public property. Could be wrong, but I'm probably right. This is what happens when you push laws through and they don't think about them. Oh, I got you by the balls now. You know, no one's going to watch this whole stream top to bottom. I totally get it. It's a rambling mess. It's my first one. It wasn't intended to be a logical short video to watch. But here it is. All right. I like this. I like that I was ignoring that public property thing, but that could be big. That could be very big for us. At least enough to send it back to be put on the table. Could be wrong. Yeah, that's all I can think about that on the moment. We'll clean that up. All right, private property. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle on a public highway on private property in the city of Albany. No person shall operate an off-road vehicle off a public highway on private property in the city of Albany unless such person has first obtained the express consent of the owner or occupant of such property to operate the off-road vehicle on the property. There shall be a rebuttable presumption. So that means that the operator of an off-road vehicle on private property in the city of Albany lacks consent. They are going to assume that you are not allowed to be there, whether it's your own or someone else's, to operate the off-road vehicle on private property. We're going to put a stream ticker on that. That was some fire thinking, I think, for the public one. Rebuttable presumption. Particular rule of law that may be inferred from the existence of a given set of facts that is conclusive absent. So they're saying, they catch you on the property and you can't prove consent or that you live there. Homies that are bouncing bed to bed or whatever, you might be screwed. Yeah. As I read it, it's saying that if you were seen on what they visually determine as an off-road vehicle, which we've already covered that a little bit, could be sketchy, on private property, they not only can, but should, or actually, but are instructed to, they are legally obligated they're not just instructed, they're legally obligated by the law to assume that you are not allowed there, and they must enforce this law. Remember, as I highlighted above, you don't even need to be actively riding it, just sitting there operating. Keys in the switch, you're operating it. So, consequences. What are we going to call it? Extended consequences. Yeah. So we're going to bug that over. This likely gives probable cause to start an inaction property. Research this. Do posted signs modify this? I gotta say, Chris brought up a good point there. If it's right, I don't believe that's the case. I could be wrong. I don't believe it's the case, but we gotta see. I'm not sure. Could be though. I think that's for individuals more than police, but I could be wrong. I know they can't just walk in on a hunch, but I do think because they visually have seen what they're now going to be considering a crime committed, I think they're allowed to go for you. Once they have access, they are beginning the interaction. I believe that's what they officially call it, assuming you do not have permission by this law. As finding out, they may begin the interaction with a pat down. So obviously they are checking for drugs, guns, knives, etc. Check in your any other private property, yard for their safety. Yeah, look, I can't even blame them. If I was a cop and I'm walking up, say it's you have to walk up an alley or walk through a little gate or whatever. I don't know how gates go into this, but whatever. Walk into someone's yard and I see something else that concerns me. I mean, if I'm walking in that situation, I'm going to ensure my safety. I think they have the right to do so in any and all things. And again, I'm not faulting the cops for doing this. Once they fire this round off on beginning this interaction, you've got to follow what keeps you safe in your protocol. And that's assuming they're doing their job right on a good day. If they're doing it wrong, this goes bad quick. So they check you out, maybe do whatever they need to secure your or your friends or what they're assuming is a stranger's yard. So, situation one, you can't provide proof of permission, even though you most definitely have it. Property owner is not present. I know phone calls for a lot of things, if you got caught driving someone else's car, a phone call is most of the time not going to do it. I think they can verify your phone number. I'm unsure of that, but it's not like they have a plate number to reference for your property or something. I don't think they have those records just to pull up. So if you can't pull that up, to me, by the way the law is written, it's instantly impounded and $3,000 until you can prove you had permission. Now, what's it take to prove you get permission after they tow it? Because they're going to tow it on the spot. They might kick around or whatever, but ain't nobody got time for that. So they're going to tow it pretty quick, I would think, right? Now, once you prove it, I think, rebuttable presumption. So you can rebut it, for lack of a better term, later on. But does the rebuttal then get rid of $3K? I think so by the way it reads, but maybe not. I think by the way it reads does. I'm not gonna split hairs that far. Okay, say you can provide proof of permission. You're in the clear, right? Cop walks up. Hey, you have permission to be here? Yep. Now, would a reasonable cop walk away? Probably. But you are now, I think you're in the area of being detained. I'm going to say you're in the area of being detained at that point. Right? Because otherwise, you just, am I free to leave? He's going to be like, no, I don't know if you have permission because this new law is telling me to assume that you don't. So no, I got to detain you to determine permission. Person standing there says, yeah, I give him permission. Well, who are you? Prove you live here. Find a piece of mail with your address. Make phone, whatever the permission proof is going to be. Which, by the way, not written in this law. Probably should be included, but fine. What's he do in the meantime? Well, they check the VIN number and, see who it comes back to. Now, you do have to provide, let me dig back in my brain. You don't have to have your ID on you. I don't think you're legally required to provide your ID in the sense of an actual physical card. You do have to legally provide them your name and date of birth. I don't think you have to provide your social. Maybe you do. They are allowed to ask for those things legally. And you can't lie to them about it because that's might fall under obstructing justice or something to that effect. So, they want to check who you are because, hey, you're in an interaction and being detained. You got active warrants. You got, are you the owner of the bike? How are you going to verify the owner of the bike if it's, yeah, you have to prove that because you should be registered for a lot of dirt bikes and ATVs by New York State law, as far as I know, and insured. Well, how do you confirm that? Well, you check the system. Check the system by getting your name. Do you have warrants, drugs, blah, blah, blah? Boy, we're going down a hard path, right? And hey, look, I'm not saying I want people with guns, drugs, knives, warrants, and all this stuff to get away scot-free, but I am saying they do have, legally, they do have the right to not be stopped and seized in their day-to-day business, which is on private property, not even in public at this point. They have the right to not be fucked with and not be brought into a police interaction simply for doing something on private property. Could be wrong. Don't think I am. So, fine, your bike checks out, everything else. That cop, I've seen it. They radio in, 15K3, whatever the VIN is. Assuming it's got one. If it doesn't, how do you prove you even own it? I don't know. Is this stolen? No. Okay, cool, man. They might be able to dig farther. I don't know. Say there's something stolen in the area, and it's legitimately something that's the same. Do they get to hold that bike until it's proven not stolen? Say it's not a dirt bike with a VIN number. It's just whatever else, some kind of go-kart or something that fits a description. I get I'm splitting hairs again, but am I? Because if you're the one sitting there with the handcuffs on, you're going to have a bad day. You're going to wish we addressed this, which is why I am. Yeah, it's bad news bears, man. All right, any person or persons so using or operating. Oh, hold on. I didn't leave the room. Ah, come on. Have I been... Ah, shit. I got dumped out of the room. Ah. My bad. All right, penalties. Any person-to-person operating off-road vehicles who operates off-road vehicle as a shopper shall be guilty of offense punishable by a fine not to exceed blah, blah, blah. That's existing law. Like it or not, that's where it is. I'm not trying to fight existing law today. The only part that would be fought is if you wanted to do this, but that would be eliminating the entire definition and basically throwing the whole thing out, which, hey, at this point, I'm fine with, but they ain't going to do it. I don't think. But if they are, they're not going to do it by eliminating this. They're going to rewrite it. In addition to the penalties set forth, vehicles should be stored, blah, 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 such title owner. I'm not going to say that this lingo is rock solid. As I said before, I think it's pretty standard language. Should we accept this standard? I don't know. But it's a hard fight to shoot this down by the way it's written. By the way it's written, I think it's pretty standard language. It's pretty common to have vehicles or property that's been locked down to only be able to be gotten by the owner or an owner's agent as evidence by written, notarized, or agency. I mean, that's pretty common stuff. But yeah, when it comes to go-karts and stuff, how do you prove you own that? How do you prove? How would I go about proving I own something that doesn't have a title/registration? Title/registration, comma, receipt, etc. So, mini bikes, all that kind of stuff. How do you prove you own it? You don't. Nobody's paying $3,000 to get it back out anyway, right? Which is kind of their thought. Fuck you, got you, caught you, done. Scrunch, crushed, done. I get what they're looking to do. They tell you what they're looking to do down below. They tell you. Nothing on public or private. Fuck you. You don't get to ride in our city. That's what they're saying. Because that is what they're saying. But that ain't right. It's not right. That's why we got to fight it. Enforcement. Chief of police. I got to check that language. I'm guessing that's common lingo. But hey, that's just saying that he's allowed to do whatever he wants. He can enforce it, be a dick about it, or he can say, fuck you, this law is stupid. I don't like it. Now, what level of enforcement? I got to look up the definition of enforcement. I know this sounds stupid right now, but does that mean he's allowed to impound it and only hit you for the $600? Because he's the one enforcing this now. He's the one. Oh, sorry. Enforce. Legal definition of enforce. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Legal definition of enforce. Oh, not police. Police. Ah, come on. All right, weird ads. We're good with you right now. No thanks. I'll have to look that up. What is the chapter? he not add the 2K for impounding at his discretion? I mean, could he say fuck you to this whole law? That'd be neat, huh? He's been looking good. Like I said earlier, he's a cool chap to an extent. I mean, you know, I haven't... Oof. He seems like a pretty cool dude when I've seen him talk. I think he gets shit on more than needs. You guys might have had a bad interaction with him here or there. I have not, but I also haven't had a good interaction. I've just seen what I've seen on the public view. But hey, if you want to be a cool guy and say, you know what, if you're over in these certain areas, I'm not going to fuck with you, legal or not. But if you're over in the rest of the city, I'm going to burn you to the ground. Now, he could go back on that any time. So, bet 3K on it, right? That's a steep bet. But he, by the way I'm reading it, can literally just say, I'm not paying attention to it when it's over here. That'd be a winger, huh? Maybe he could do a little bit of good with his enforcement powers and say, you're allowed to ride at X, Y, and Z spot. Keep it down. Keep the noise down. Keep the garbage down. Don't run into cars. Don't run into school buses. But you stay in this area, I won't fuck with you. You step out, we're burning you. How's that for a chief of police? You guys think you'd want to see that? It's not near houses, bugging people, whatever else, which we all know the spots. A lot of them are not that way. You think we could have a chief of police that was that cool? Now, I know a lot of you getting there back and forth are going to ride there. And look, they catch you out of those spots. I'm not saying they should burn you, because I have a different view on what the vehicle laws should be. But I am saying by the law, if they burnt you, he wouldn't be wrong. But he would be awfully kind dude to let you up on it. And finally, the letter. All right, it's 9:51. No one's popping in this. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to make a shorter video going through this just to sum it up for everyone instead of me just blabbing on. I'm going to pretty it up first and stuff, but appreciate anyone that watched some or all of this stream. It's been a good one.